What's up, folks? Sean, the Average Angler. Today we've got a good one. This technique, the bait itself may have caught more fish than any other bait since its conception, and it still works great today. For me, it's become more of a situational type bait. I really like to skip this bait up under docks, especially floating docks, but even pier docks. Doesn't matter. In the fall, winter, and spring, and even in the summer, docks are great places to find fish, mainly because of shade and the food chain, right? Algae, plankton, so forth and so on draws in bluegill and other bait fish to feed our beloved bass. Anyway, I've said this is now situational for me. I don't throw it as much as I should. And I'm not really sure why. Because it's a slower technique a lot of times. But it's a very, very effective technique. And this is the rod I fish it on 99% of the time. It's the Irod Crusher 702 spinning. It's a 7-foot medium, okay? Whatever brand you have, that's what I like. Because we're going to be doing some skipping with this technique. That rod works great for me. The only thing I'm going to do really is change my leader size based on where I'm at. If I'm at Clear Lake and know I'm going to be tangling with 5 to 8 pound bass, I'm probably going to step up my leader to 10 to 12 pound. It's not really too often I'll go under 10, but sometimes I'll go down to 8. Clear Lake, I do like to step it up, okay? If it's springtime, might even go to 15 just so you're not running the risk of hooking a giant and losing it, okay? Now, for a beginner, this is a great bait to get because you can fish it so many different ways, and mastering this bait can be very, very effective. Tournaments, fun fishing, doesn't matter. This bait has probably won more tournaments than any other bait on the market. Now, maybe not at the elite level, and that's a Senko. And first, I'll tell you, I really narrowed my color choices down on the Senko. I've got tons of different colors up there. This is a 925. It's green pumpkin on one side, watermelon, red, black flake on the other. I've got our watermelon black here. Or watermelon red, there's watermelon black. I even have some other brands, and we'll talk about that as we get on. There's a true center stick, green pumpkin purple, the Yum Dinger in black and blue. Okay, we'll get into the other ones a little bit. Mainly I want to talk about skipping, and most of the time I'm going to be skipping the Yamamoto Senko. Now, the only thing I really need when I'm skipping that Senko is some sort of O-ring product, okay? The ones I use are in the boat. These are other really good ones. There's another one. I'll put links in the description, but this is for fishing Wacky, okay? Wacky, or also the necco rig, can be very, very effective with the Senko. So I'll put the new choice I have. I have a new favorite. One of my viewers pointed me out to, and it's phenomenal. All right. So we got our spinning rod, we've got our O-ring system, we've got our Senko. We need a good hook. This is one that I really like. Get it in my hand there. Okay, that is a Decoy weedless hook, Wacky hook. And that is in a 1/0. Okay, very sharp, plenty strong enough for messing with fish on a Wacky rig. Part of the reason, now I can't pick the darn thing up, our Wacky hook. Plenty of bite there. Even if you were to go through the worm direct, which is what we did in the old days, and you went through a lot of worms that way, there's plenty of bite there, okay? That's a 1/0. You can even go down a size if you wanted to. I like this size. I don't think it's too big. You could use a 1 as well. On some brands, I even go down to a 2. But this is the one I really like. Okay, so we got our spinning rod. We got it all rigged up. We got that bait Wacky rig. I just like to skip it up under the dock. I like to stay as far away as I can because sometimes these fish get a little shy to pressure coming around on. And if you can sneak that bait in there, and drop it on their heads and just let it flutter down naturally, that's the best way to get bit. We get too close. If you got electronics, turn them off. You don't need them for this technique. You can I spy the dock with forward facing if you must. I don't know. I just, in the past, I tended to just go down docks and do this technique, okay? Stay away from them. The other way you can do it is you can use a regular worm hook, or you can use an EWG. I prefer the EWG in this 3/0, and that's just Texas rig it. Still weightless, but it's now a little more protected, if you will. I don't see, other than cover, a benefit of fishing it this way compared to this way. When I'm flipping and pitching, that's when I use this, okay, into cover. All right, so just slide it up underneath there, let it fall naturally. And I like to typically use a high vis braided line, because a lot of times this is what I'm seeing when I get bit. You'll see the line jump, and it really helps to have that high vis line. If you got a black or a brown braid, a lot of times it'll blend into the top of that water. It makes it much harder to see. All right, now the other way that I will rig it, if I find that they want a little faster fall, is put a small nail weight in one side, okay? Then it's gonna slide down more, kind of, you know, it really is becoming a necco rig at that point. It's gonna slide down like this, but you'll still have the undulations back there in the tail. And this 925 color, folks, is just so awesome. There you see it, huh? Get the best of both worlds there, all in one. Really can narrow down the number of colors and baits you have. That's why I really like that one. It's by far my favorite. One of the few colors I'm still buying for my stock today, because I'm just not using a lot of the other ones anymore. Black and blue, you know, there's a time for black and blue. Okay, let's talk about the Yum Dinger real quick. The Yum Dinger is going to fall much slower. You can still fish it weedless, and you can fish it with a nail weight, or you can fish it wacky. If you fish it wacky, you're either going to be very, very patient, or you're going to put a small nail in one side. And there's nothing to say you can't put a nail somewhere in the middle area so that it's not the ends. The ends will still come up and undulate. Experiment. I've even have blades, small willow blades, that I will screw in to the middle of a Senko at times. At times that works really well. It's not a rule per se, it's more of a situational thing, and at times that works really, really well. This works phenomenally well. Just the Wacky Senko as a whole, when fish are really pressured, okay? We gotta slow down. This technique works very, very well. Like I said, I really don't know why I don't fish it more often, because it is a phenomenal technique, phenomenal bait, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, personally, I think the Yamamoto is probably the best, but there's a time and place for all these other ones, okay? And there's a ton of them out there. I use these a lot on a Ned. I'll use these a lot on a shaky head because the back floats a little bit better. Anyway, the other technique I really like this for, as I mentioned, is the necco rig. You can use the same hook, and you still want the O-ring method. On the necco, remember, you're going to have the weight on the fatter end of the worm. You're going to clip that hook through your O-ring thing so that it's pointed out, away from the bait, and up. And you just let it get down to the bottom, and you slowly shake it. You can work it back to the boat. You can fish it under the boat. A lot of times here in Northern California, we'll drop that baby down into 50 foot. And a lot of times you're just using the necco rig just to get it down to that depth of water. Drop it in that school of fish and just let it hang there and shake it a little bit. That's really all you need to do. Again, it's a worm. It gets bit. It has probably caught more fish for the average angler than any other bait since its conception and when it came out to market. Sean, the average angler, thanks for watching. Get you some Senkos. Let's go out there and catch them. They work year-round, folks. They're not seasonal whatsoever. It's just maybe changes where we fish them and how we fish them, but they get bit year-round. Like, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.